Alrighty, I just wanted to jump on here really quick to show you how to do these different methods for the math packet. I know it's kind of confusing if you've never used these strategies before, so I'm on page 170. This is lesson 12. I just wanted to use these word problems to show you how to use the different methods. So the first way is the arrow way. Then we also have a number bond, and then we also have a tape diagram. Those are the three that we're working with. So I'm just going to do all three of these problems a different way. I'm going to start with number one. I'm going to start with an arrow way. It doesn't matter what method they use. They just want them to be able to use like the different types of methods throughout the book. All right, so the first one says Jeremy has 80 cents. Okay, so we know he has 80 cents. And how much more does he need to make $1? Okay, so I'm going to pull up my screen. It'll go unblurry in just a second. It does this a lot. Okay, so the first way I'm going to do is the arrow way. And we know that Jeremy has 80 cents. He's starting with 80 cents. And we have to get to 100 cents, which is the same as $1. Okay, so you can figure out, they can use the arrow way to add by 5s, 10s, whatever is easy for them to skip count by. I'm going to say plus 10 because I think that is the easiest. So 80 plus 10 is going to give me 90. Plus 10 more would give me 100. So that means 80 plus 10 and 10 make 20. That means he needs 20 more cents. Okay, so that's the arrow way. That's the very first way you can do this. The next way I'm going to show you is the tape diagram. This one they will use a lot in 3rd grade, so I suggest really becoming familiar with this one. It's just going to help them have a smooth transition into next year. I think this is the one that they use the most. So number 2, it says Abby bought a banana for 35 cents. She gave the cashier $1. Okay, how much change did she receive? Okay, so I always tell our students to write a statement sentence, which my apologies I didn't do on the last one. It helps them know what they're looking for. So I'm going to say Abby got blank cents back because we're trying to figure out how much change she got back from the cashier. So that helps us know that what we're looking for. We do know that she spent 35 cents on a banana. So she spent 35 cents on a banana. And she gave the cashier $1, which is the same as 100 cents. So now we're trying to figure out how much more does she have left. And if the kids can do a number bond, this is very, very similar, as you can tell. Because I'll do the number bond next so you can see how much alike they are. Now, the kids can do one of two things. They can count up to 100 if that's easier for them. Like I know a lot of kids can add 5 to get 40, and they're like, oh, well, now I need 60 cents plus 5 more. A lot of kids are able to do that in their head. If not, I suggest having them subtract. That's why the big number is at the top. And we're saying 100. She gave the cashier 100 cents, which is the same as $1. And now the cashier has to subtract 35 cents for the banana to figure out how much change Abby's going to get back. So we haven't, in school, we haven't done the double digit regrouping yet. So I'll go over this. They know that if the 0 is at the top, they can't get rid of anything. So I go next to the tens place, and there's nothing to use or regroup from here. So I have to keep going to the hundreds place, take 100. If I take 100, I won't have any left. But now I'll have 10 tens. So now I go back to my ones place and I look at my tens and I'm like, okay, I can regroup now. Once I take a 10, I'll have 9 tens left. And now I'll have 10 ones from taking a 10. Which this is a very, very complicated thing for kids to usually wrap their heads around. So if you need like independent practice on this, please let me know on Blooms, like in a personal message, and I can give them more practice on this. Okay, so now we have 10 minus 5, which will be 5. 9 minus 3, which will give us 6, and 0 minus 0, which is 0. So that means that Abby got 65 cents back. And that is a tape diagram. Now this is very, very similar to a number bond. And the reason why it's so similar is because eventually they'll be adding more numbers down here, not just 2. And that's why we start them on the number bond. And a lot of them have a good grip on a number bond. So eventually they'll have like 3 or 4 boxes down here, and it'll be multi-step problems. So that's why we're trying to introduce them to the tape diagram, and they're not as familiar with that. But if you show them how alike it is to the number bond, they'll start to build those connections. So next we have the number bond, and I didn't pick any specific order to do these in. Honestly, I let them pick what strategy they want to do and what strategy makes the most sense to them. Because the reality is that there's multiple ways to get there in math. We're just providing them with all these different ways to get there. So number 3, Joseph spent 75 cents of his dollar at the arcade. How much money does he have left? Okay, so we know that Joseph spent 75 cents of his dollar. And it's really crucial that we are reiterating to kids that there's 100 cents in a dollar, because they're going to try and do 1 minus 75, and that they're not going to be able to do that or understand that. So explaining it to them like there's 100 pennies in a dollar, I think that's the easiest way to get that across. So now we have to figure out what 100 minus 75 is in order to figure out how much Joseph has left. So that's going to be our statement. Joseph has blank left. Alright, so again, if the kids are already working with money and units of money, they could say, oh, I know that they only need 1 more quarter, which would be 25 cents. A lot of kids can figure that out in their head on their own. If not, again, I suggest doing the 100 minus 75. This is a scaffolding technique, and it's also showing their work, so you can see maybe where they're missing something. So again, you cannot do 0 minus 5. I go to my tens place. There's nothing to regroup with. So I'm going to take 100. Now I have 10 tens. Now I can go over here and I can take a 10. And now I have 10 ones. So 10 minus 5 is 5. And 9 minus 7 is 2. So that means Joseph had 25 cents left. Now, the easiest way, if you want them to skip the subtraction part, is to help them with their number sense. So skip counting by 5, or skip counting by 10, skip counting by 2s. Just doing that as they're walking around the house, or maybe as they're like eating a snack, you can have them skip counting. This will make this process a lot faster, and they won't have to do this subtraction up here. So that was a number bond way, and you can see how it's kind of similar to the tape diagram. But next year in 3rd grade, they're going to be having more than just the 2 numbers, so that's kind of why they get away from the number bond. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or you're unsure how to help your scholar at home, just let me know. I'd be happy to do another video like this or explain something a little bit better for you, or even go over it with your scholar in small group. So just let me know. I'm here to support you in this time, and thank you so much for all that you're doing. I'll see you next time. Bye.